Avocados are calorie-dense and can stall fat loss. Avocados are one of those foods that have earned a health halo over the past decade. They're creamy, they're rich, they're loaded with healthy fats, and they're often marketed as the perfect superfood for everything from heart health to skin glow. But here's the thing. The very nutrient profile that makes avocados so appealing can also work against you, especially if your goal is fat loss or metabolic improvement. And it comes down to one big factor that most people overlook: calorie density. One average-sized avocado contains around 240 calories and roughly 21 grams of fat. Now, yes, these are primarily monounsaturated fats, which are considered heart healthy. But here's the catch: your body doesn't burn calories based on the moral character of the food. Whether those calories come from potato chips, olive oil, or an avocado, your body still needs to process and use them. If you eat more calories than you burn, you will store the excess, and excess storage is fat gain. The problem isn't that avocados are inherently bad. It's that they're deceptively easy to overrate. When you slice one onto a salad, mash it into guacamole, or blend it into a smoothie, you're adding a concentrated source of energy. And because fat is more calorie dense than protein or carbohydrates, but 9 calories per gram compared to 4, you can easily rack up hundreds of extra calories without feeling full in the same way you would from a large volume of vegetables. That's why many people who think they're eating clean still find the scale stuck or moving in the wrong direction. There's also the satiety trap. People often assume that because avocados are high in fat, they'll naturally make you fuller for longer. While fats do slow digestion, the effect can vary dramatically depending on what else you eat and your overall hormonal state. If your metabolism is sluggish, your insulin levels are high, or your appetite regulation is off, you may find that eating avocados doesn't actually shut down hunger. It just adds more calories on top of what you're already consuming. Another hidden issue is the health food license effect. When we label a food as healthy, we unconsciously give ourselves permission to eat more of it. For example, you might add half an avocado to breakfast, another half to lunch, and then snack on guacamole in the afternoon. By the end of the day, you've easily consumed 500 to 700 calories just from avocados, and that's before adding chips, bread, or other foods you paired them with. For someone trying to lose weight or improve insulin sensitivity, that's a serious roadblock. The high calorie density of avocados means they should be treated with portion awareness, not as a free pass food. Even in low carb or ketogenic diets, where avocados are often promoted as a staple, it's easy to overshoot your energy needs and stall fat loss progress. Our portion size becomes even more important when avocados are part of a diet that includes other calorie-dense foods like nuts, cheese, oils, and fatty meats. You can be in ketosis and still not lose body fat if you're eating more energy than you're burning. The metabolic advantage of low-carb eating is not a magic shield against overconsumption. So the ugly truth is that while avocados can absolutely be part of a nutrient-rich diet, they're not a free-for-all. If your goal is to burn stored fat, you need to remember that your body doesn't just care about carb intake, it cares about overall energy balance. Eating an extra avocado a day might not seem like much, but over weeks and months, it can mean the difference between steady progress and frustrating plateaus. That's why understanding the calorie density of avocados is essential if you want to enjoy them without sabotaging your results. If you want, I can now continue with Keynote 2 in the same detailed style. This will keep the flow consistent across all 6 sections. Would you like me to go ahead with that? You said 2, ChatGPT said. Pesticide residue and quality concerns. When most people think about avocados, they imagine them as a pure, untouched gift from nature, perfectly wrapped in their thick green skin, free from any outside contamination. That outer shell does protect the fruit to some extent, but it's a mistake to believe that avocados are automatically immune to the same agricultural realities that affect other crops. The truth is, not all avocados are created equal, and the way they're grown can make a big difference in their nutrient quality and even their safety. While it's true that avocados rank lower on certain pesticide residue lists compared to more delicate produce, like strawberries or spinach, that doesn't mean they're pesticide-free. Many commercial avocado farms use synthetic fertilizers, herbicides, and fungicides to maximize yield control diseases. Over time, these chemicals can accumulate in the soil and potentially affect the nutritional profile of the fruit, even if only trace amounts make it past the peel. And the bigger concern isn't just what's on the skin, it's what's in the growing environment. The health of the soil plays a huge role in determining the nutrient density of the avocado. When the soil is rich in organic matter, minerals, and microbial life, the tree can draw up an abundance of calcium, magnesium, potassium, and trace minerals that make avocados so valuable nutritionally. But when the soil is depleted due to over-farming, monocropping, and chemical use, the fruit produced can be significantly lower in those same nutrients. You could be eating an avocado that looks perfectly ripe and creamy, yet contains far less of the beneficial compounds you expect. Another factor that many people overlook is post-harvest treatment. After harvesting, avocados may be treated with certain chemicals to slow ripening during transport or storage. For example, some producers use fungicidal dips to prevent mold or rotting, especially for fruit that will travel long distances. These treatments may leave residues, and while they are considered safe in small amounts, some individuals with chemical sensitivities can still experience reactions. Imported avocados can also come from regions where agricultural standards differ from those in your own country. This means pesticide regulations, soil testing requirements, and chemical usage practices can vary widely. Unless you're buying from a trusted source, you may have no idea what's been used in the growing process. Even beyond pesticides, there's the question of how the fruit was handled and stored. Long storage times and transport delays can cause subtle nutrient degradation, especially for delicate antioxidants like lutein and vitamin C. An avocado that was picked underripe and then artificially ripened in storage may not have the same nutrient profile as one ripened naturally on the tree. For people who value avocados for their health benefits, these quality differences matter. Choosing organically grown avocados from trusted farms, or better yet, from local growers, can help ensure you're getting fruit that's richer in nutrients and lower in unwanted residues. Washing the skin before cutting can reduce the risk of transferring surface contaminants to the flesh. The takeaway is that while avocados are often promoted as a clean food, there's more to the story. The growing conditions, soil health, and post-harvest practices all influence the final product you put on your plate. Just because a fruit looks perfect on the outside doesn't guarantee that what's inside is as pure as you think. Understanding the potential for pesticide exposure and quality variation helps you make better choices and ensures that the avocados you do eat are truly delivering the health benefits you're expecting. Omega-6 to omega-3 imbalance avocados are often praised for their healthy fat profile, but here's something most people never stop to think about. Not all fats work the same way in your body, and the balance between different types of fats can make or break your health. While avocados are high in monounsaturated fats, they also contain omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 are not inherently bad. Your body needs them in small amounts for normal cell function, hormone production, and inflammatory response. The problem comes when omega-6 intake is far higher than omega-3 intake, which is exactly what's happening in most modern diets. Humans evolved on a diet that provided roughly equal amounts of omega-6 and omega-3 fats with a ratio somewhere close to 1:1. Today, because of processed foods, vegetable oils, and grain-fed animal products, that ratio is often 15:1 or even higher. This masses the body into a state of chronic low-grade inflammation, which has been linked to everything from insulin resistance and joint pain to cardiovascular disease and autoimmune conditions. So where do avocados fit in? Even though their omega-6 content is not sky-high compared to certain seed oils, adding avocados to an already omega-6 heavy diet can still tip the scale further in the wrong direction. If you're not intentionally eating fatty fish, grass-fed meats, or other omega-3 rich foods, within every gram of omega-6 you consume without balancing it with omega-3 as just adds to the inflammatory load. Over time, this imbalance can interfere with muscle recovery, slow down fat loss, and contribute to metabolic issues. Another point people miss is that omega-6 fats are more easily oxidized than saturated fats or monounsaturated fats, especially when exposed to heat or light. Oxidized fats are unstable molecules that can damage cell membranes, disrupt mitochondrial function, and trigger inflammatory pathways in the body. Even if you're eating avocados raw, the other omega-6 heavy foods in your diet, like nuts, seeds, or cooking oils, are likely compounding the issue. Now imagine someone who starts adding half an avocado to breakfast, another half to lunch, and a little guacamole at dinner. On paper, this sounds like a heart-healthy choice. But if their dinner also includes chicken cooked in seed oil, snacks of roasted nuts, and a salad drenched in soybean oil dressing, they're flooding their system with omega-6 fats without the counterbalance of omega-3s. Over time, that imbalance can show up as stiffer joints, slower recovery after workouts, or even more stubborn belly fat due to higher baseline inflammation. Balancing the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is not about completely cutting out omega-6 foods like avocados, it's about being aware of the overall picture. If you're going to eat avocados regularly, you need to make sure you're also boosting your omega-3 intake. That means wild-caught salmon sardines, mackerel, chia seeds, flax seeds, and even algae-based supplements for those who don't eat fish. When the ratio is more balanced, omega-6 fats play their natural role without fueling the fire of chronic inflammation. This matters because inflammation is a silent progress killer. It can make your body less sensitive to insulin, encourage fat storage, and break down muscle tissue over time. Even if you're training hard, eating clean, and staying active, an unfavorable omega-6 to omega-3 ratio can keep you feeling bloated, fatigued, and stuck in a cycle of slow progress. The key is not demonizing avocados, but recognizing where they fit into the larger dietary puzzle. When you understand how their fats interact with the rest of your meals, you can enjoy them without letting them become part of a hidden imbalance that quietly works against your health goals. Do you want me to move forward with Keynote 4 so the whole Ugly Truth series stays consistent? You said 4, ChatGPT said, Calorie density and overconsumption. Avocados are often labeled as a perfect health food, but one thing that gets overlooked is their calorie density. Yes, they're packed with fiber, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals, but they're also one of the most calorie-dense plant foods you can eat. A single medium avocado can contain anywhere from 220 to 300 calories, depending on size and variety. Now, that might not seem like much at first glance, especially if you're comparing it to a fast food burger. But here's the problem. The way avocados are marketed makes it incredibly easy to overeat them without realizing how much energy you're actually consuming. Part of the reason is psychological, because avocados are considered a superfood. People often give themselves a free pass when eating them. They add half an avocado to a smoothie, spread it on toast, top their salad with slices, and maybe even snack on some guacamole in the afternoon. By the end of the day, they could have easily eaten 1.5 to 2 avocados without even trying. That's an extra 400 to 600 calories just from a single ingredient. And if those calories are not being offset by increased activity or reduced intake elsewhere, they will contribute to a caloric surplus. And a caloric surplus, even from healthy foods, can still lead to fat gain. Another subtle issue with avocado's calorie density is that the satiety from its fat content can be misleading. While the fats in avocado do help you feel fuller, the effect doesn't always last as long as you might think, especially if the rest of your meal is low in protein. Fat alone doesn't provide the same muscle-preserving or metabolism-boosting effects that protein does. So you might finish a meal with avocado and feel satisfied for a short while, only to get hungry again and snack more later. The end result? You've increased your daily calorie intake without improving your body composition. The problem becomes more pronounced when people are trying to lose weight or lean down but continue to add avocados liberally to every meal, believing they are helping their metabolism. In reality, they may be unknowingly stalling fat loss by creating a constant calorie surplus. Fat from avocados is easier for the body to store compared to using it immediately for energy, especially if your carbohydrate intake is also moderate to high. When you combine high fat with moderate or high carbs, the body tends to store the fat rather than burn it. There's also a lifestyle factor at play. Many health-conscious individuals pair avocado with foods like toast, chips, or wraps, which means they're combining this high-calorie fruit with high-calorie carbs. This combination can quickly push a meal well over 500-700 calories, even when it appears light and fresh. A breakfast of avocado toast, for instance, could be more calorically dense than a typical fast food breakfast sandwich, depending on portion size. Being mindful of portion size is key. If you truly want to reap the benefits of avocado without falling into the trap of overconsumption, you have to treat it with the same portion awareness you would for any other calorie-dense food. Like nuts or cheese, that might mean sticking to a quarter or half an avocado per meal instead of the whole fruit. And if you're tracking calories or macros, you can't give avocado a free pass. Just because it's nutrient-rich, those calories still count. In short, the ugly truth here isn't that avocado is bad, it's that its health halo makes it dangerously easy to overeat, especially for people who are chasing weight loss, metabolic improvements, or muscle definition. Without a conscious awareness of its calorie density, avocados can quietly sabotage your goals by tipping you into a daily surplus you didn't even know you had. Allergic reactions and sensitivities. While avocados are celebrated for their rich nutrient profile, what's rarely discussed is that they can trigger allergic reactions and sensitivities in certain individuals, and not just mild ones. There are two primary types of avocado allergies, oral allergy syndrome OS and latex fruit syndrome. Both can produce symptoms that range from mildly uncomfortable to potentially serious, and many people have no idea that their lingering health complaints could be tied to the avocado they're eating every day. Oral allergy syndrome is a cross-reaction that happens when your immune system confuses proteins in avocado with similar proteins found in pollen, particularly birch pollen. This can cause itching, tingling, or swelling in the lips, mouth, and throat shortly after eating avocado. While the symptoms often subside within an hour, repeated exposure can intensify the body's response over time. For someone who's health conscious and consuming avocado daily, this could lead to chronic low-level inflammation in the mouth and throat, subtly irritating the immune system. The second, more serious issue is latex fruit syndrome. People who have a latex allergy often react to certain fruits, including avocado, because the proteins in these foods are structurally similar to those found in natural rubber latex. This can trigger an immune response that goes far beyond mouth irritation. Reactions can include hives, digestive discomfort, wheezing, and in rare cases, anaphylaxis. What makes this especially concerning is that many people don't know they have a latex sensitivity until they start experiencing strange symptoms from foods like avocado, banana, or kiwi. Even beyond the obvious allergic responses, there are sensitivities that don't fit neatly into these categories. Some individuals notice bloating, gas, or digestive upset after eating avocado. Even if allergy tests come back negative, this can be due to the fermentable carbohydrates in avocado, which can feed certain gut bacteria and produce excess gas in sensitive people, especially those with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO. Overgrade digestive irritation can affect nutrient absorption, energy levels, and even immune function. It's also worth noting that chronic exposure to a food your body is sensitive to can keep your immune system in a state of heightened alert. This can contribute to systemic inflammation, which in turn impacts everything from hormonal balance to recovery after exercise. If you're eating avocado daily and you're also struggling with persistent inflammation, water retention, or unexplained fatigue, it might be worth testing whether removing avocado from your diet brings relief. The tricky part is that the health halo around avocados makes people reluctant to consider them as a culprit. They'll blame dairy, gluten, processed sugar, anything but avocado, even though it could be the very food causing their symptoms. And because avocado is often combined with other foods like eggs, leafy greens, or salmon, it's easy to overlook as a potential trigger when troubleshooting dietary issues. This doesn't mean everyone should stop eating avocados, but it does mean you need to listen to your body. Pay attention to patterns. Do you notice a scratchy throat, stomach discomfort, or skin irritation after avocado-heavy meals? Do these symptoms get worse the more frequently you eat it? These are the subtle clues that your immune or digestive system may be viewing avocado as more of a threat than a friend. For those who do have a confirmed allergy or sensitivity, there are plenty of alternative sources for the nutrients avocados provide. Monounsaturated fats can be found in olives and olive oil, magnesium in nuts and seeds, and potassium in leafy greens. The goal is to nourish your body without triggering an immune or inflammatory reaction that quietly undermines your health from the inside out. Do you want me to go ahead and finish with keynote 6 so the full series is complete? You said 6. A ChatGPT said environmental and ethical concerns. When people think about avocados, they picture lush orchards, creamy green flesh, and trendy health food cafes. What they often don't see is the environmental and ethical price tag attached to this green gold. The truth is, large-scale avocado farming has significant consequences that extend far beyond the kitchen, and they're rarely part of the conversation when we talk about healthy eating. Avocados require a tremendous amount of water to grow, far more than most fruits and vegetables. On average, producing a single avocado can require up to 60 gallons of water, depending on the climate and farming practices. In drought-prone regions like parts of Mexico and California, this demand puts immense pressure on already strained water supplies. The result is that local communities sometimes face water shortages while avocado orchards continue to expand to meet global demand. In some cases, rivers and streams are diverted to irrigate avocado farms, impacting ecosystems, wildlife, and the availability of fresh water for human use. Then there's the issue of deforestation. In certain avocado-producing regions, particularly in Mexico, forests, including biodiverse pine and oak habitats, have been cleared to make way for new avocado plantations. This not only disrupts ecosystems and threatens wildlife, but it also reduces the natural carbon absorption capacity of these areas, contributing to climate change. The loss of tree cover can also increase soil erosion and reduce biodiversity, making the land less resilient to pests and extreme weather over time. An even darker reality lies in the social and political side of avocado farming. The high profitability of avocados has drawn the attention of organized crime groups in some regions, leading to what's sometimes called blood avocados. In these cases, farmers may be extorted for protection money, land may be seized, and communities can become trapped in cycles of violence and intimidation. While not all avocados come from such circumstances, the fact remains that some of the avocados on grocery store shelves are tied to human suffering. Transportation is another factor that adds to the environmental footprint. Because avocados have a relatively short ripening window and high demand in countries far from where they're grown, they are often transported long distances by trucks, ships, and planes. This adds to greenhouse gas emissions, increasing the carbon footprint of what's marketed as a natural and a clean food. While one avocado in isolation may seem harmless, the cumulative impact of millions of them being shipped around the globe is substantial. For consumers, the challenge is that these environmental and ethical issues are invisible when you're holding a perfectly ripe avocado at the supermarket. The packaging and marketing focus on health benefits and freshness, not on the water shortages in rural villages, the felled forests, or the long supply chains that got it there. And because avocado consumption is often tied to the image of a conscious lifestyle, the disconnect between perception and realities is even more striking. Being aware of these issues doesn't mean you have to give up avocados entirely, but it does mean approaching them with more mindfulness. That could mean buying from local or smaller scale farms when possible, seeking out suppliers with transparent sourcing practices, or simply reducing consumption so the demand, and thus the environmental burden, lessens. For some people, it might mean exploring alternatives that offer similar nutritional benefits without the same ecological impact, such as locally grown nuts, seeds, or seasonal produce. Ultimately, the ugly truth about avocados isn't just about what they do to your body, it's also about what their production does to the world around you. The health of your body and the health of the planet are interconnected, and the foods we choose to consume have ripple effects that go far beyond our plates.